That's good. Yeah.
Is this the ball he's throwing?
30 years later, you see them in these uniforms on this field, and you travel right back in time.
And look who's coming up. Welcome back to Dodger Stadium, Kirk Gibson.
It's just impossible not to.
Gibby, you got a hit. Come on over.
Impossible to resist returning to a season that felt, even in the moment, like it was scripted.
If you were to write a movie about that season, I'm looking for a story and a script that gives you a full meal.
And this story had just about everything you'd ever want in a movie.
The characters are well-defined. There's a way that the audience can relate to what the characters are going through.
The cast of characters had them all. The broken-down hero.
You talk about a roll of the dice. This is it.
The unlikely superstar.
Oral Hershiser, 59 consecutive innings, scoreless.
The irrepressible manager. Quintessential underdogs, all of them.
You guys are getting the stuntman over here. I want you to get every one of them.
And written all the way to a perfect finish.
There's a compelling story, and it has a great plot that unfolds.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
Then again, it was Hollywood.
In terms of heroics and that classic ending, it is a Hollywood moment.
And this is the kind of story they tell here. (1988). It was the 30th anniversary of the Dodgers coming to Los Angeles. And over that time, the franchise had won 8 pennants and 4 World Series titles, with just a handful of losing seasons along the way. So fans in LA were used to winning, which is what had made the previous 2 years feel so unfamiliar.
We had a couple tough seasons in '86 and '87. We had some guys banged up. We didn't meet our expectations.
And while the team's play was definitely disappointing, it was a story off the field in 1987 that made national headlines. Just after opening day, Al Campanis, the Dodgers' longtime general manager, had been invited on Nightline on ABC for a panel on the 40th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier.
Why is it that there are no black managers, no black general managers, no black owners?
Al Campanis had had his unfortunate disaster on Nightline in 1987.
They may not have some of the necessities to be, let's say, a field manager or perhaps a general manager.
You really believe that?
It was amazing. One day, Al Campanis was running the operation, one of the greatest architects in baseball history and the purveyor of the Dodger way. Then he made some racist comments and he was gone.
The Dodgers' choice as Campanis' replacement had been a surprise. Their executive vice president of public relations and former sports writer, Fred Clare.
Really took a lot of heat. Is this guy out of a PR background really a baseball guy enough to lead the Dodger franchise?
I had been with the Dodgers for nearly 20 years. I had worked closely with Al, so I just felt that I was ready for the task.
And soon after Clare got the job, his first move might have been just as surprising as his hiring.
I thought I was out of baseball. I was on my last lifeline.
Former Dodger Mickey Hatcher, recently released by the Twins, just happened to be looking for a job at the same time Fred Clare became LA's GM.
I knew him from his previous days with the Dodgers, and I knew what he could bring to the team. He enjoyed playing the game, was willing to do whatever it took to help a team win. He was the prototype of what I was looking for.
You guys are getting the stuntman over here. I want you to get every one of them.
The stuntmen were so important to the 1988 Dodgers.
Mickey Hatcher gave them the name stuntmen. They were bench players. A lot of them had been cast-offs. A lot of them had been guys who people never considered to be the players anymore. And that is why Fred Clare signed Mickey Hatcher, because he knew he could galvanize the scrubs. Mickey made a living out of being a scrub.
Over the winter before the '88 season, Clare kept adding pieces to address the team's needs. But in a city of stars, his acquisitions were hardly marquee names.
They've never been a team with huge stars. They've always been a team, you know? And when we acquired Kirk Gibson, that was like, wow, maybe we're actually going to take a shot at this thing.
Kirk Gibson had been a star football player at Michigan State and then an MVP candidate over 9 seasons in Detroit. His combination of power, speed, and edge had been a huge part of the Tigers' run to the World Series in 1984. Now the idea was he could do the same thing in LA.
We introduce a new player to the Dodger organization, Kirk Gibson.
It was impactful because we needed offense, we needed defense, and he brought it all. You knew how hard he played when he was a Tiger.
And it is a home run for Gibson!
Kirk was the kind of guy that really likes to beat you. He was a real good man for the Dodgers at that time.
I'm prepared to open a new chapter in my career and a new era for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I foresee many more cherishable moments here in Los Angeles.
I mean, I was pretty determined that I was coming to Los Angeles to win a world championship. I know they'd finished in 4th place and 5th place the previous 2 years, but that didn't matter to me because I believed I could have an impact.
I can recall having a dinner with Kirk after we signed him, and he said, I may have to do some things here that are a little unsettling, Fred. And I looked at him and I said, why do you think you're here?
You know, you couldn't predict how Kirk was going to change the culture. We didn't realize how tough he was as a competitor on a daily basis until spring training.
You guys got enough film today? Get the out of here. When I went to spring training, I got in the clubhouse and it was very loose and it made me a little bit uncomfortable. I told myself I needed to chill out and take it in, but when it went from the clubhouse to the practice field, I became more and more uncomfortable. Probably when it all really culminated for me was when we were doing bunt plays one day. They rolled the ball to third base and Pedro Guerrero picked it up and threw it down in the right field corner. And everybody laughed. And I thought, what the is so funny about that? That's not funny. So that kind of put me over the edge.
But the final breaking point for Gibson came a few days later with a practical joke that he wanted no part of.
I was out there really early, running. I pulled my hat off and wiped my head off, wiped my brows, and I could see the black on there, and everybody in the stands right there was laughing at me. So I was like, what the hell just went on?
Finally, somebody said, hey, Gibby, you know, somebody put eye black under your hat, and he had a big streak of eye black on his forehead, and he stomped off.
Tommy was coming out, and I said, you go get the son of a bitch who put the eye black in my hat. And he's like, you know, they're just trying to have fun. I go, you want to have fun? Winning games is fun. So I said, go get him or I'm leaving. And he said no, so I showered and took off. There's good and there's bad with me. I played football for 4 years at Michigan State. When you're playing football, especially at that level, you're looking to physically and mentally dominate your opponent. It worked great on the field, it worked great on the diamond, but not so good in public. And frankly, I had a hard time turning that off. I was very gruff with people, I was arrogant. I actually went to counseling to think about how I could deal with that. And this person gave me my first assignment. It was to go to the grocery store and ask the checkout lady how her day was. And this was big for me, you know. And I finally said, how's your day going today, ma'am? And she said, oh, I'm having a great day. Well, have a great weekend, too. And I walked away. And believe it or not, it was really hard for me to do, that I was such an intense person.
Early the morning after Kirk Gibson stormed off a field in Dodgertown, fuming at his new team's attitude in spring training 1988, his new manager was already trying to diffuse the tension.
Got a call about 5:30 in the morning, and it was Tommy. Hey, Kirk, how you doing? I'm doing great, Tommy. How about you? Yeah, about yesterday, could you come in and let's talk about it? Come on over to my room. So I went over to Dodgertown there into his room, and he said, here at the Dodgers, we try and really watch what gets out. We want it to all be positive, and we take care of the media. And I'd just like to say that something came up, it was a family issue, and that we'd excused you and you went home. I just sat there. He says, well, what do you say? I said, no, I'm going to tell him the truth. I'm going to tell everybody the truth. He's like, oh, no, come on. I go, no. I said, you get the guy who did it. He's going to come up and talk to me about it. Then when we have a team meeting, I'm going to speak.
He pretty much aired the club out. And he demanded that whoever did it own up to it. And Jesse Orozco's like...
And I said, yeah, I figures it was a pitcher. And he came up, he's like, hey, buddy. I said, you don't know me. I was kind of a jerk about it, you know, but I was really intense about it. I mean, I felt passionate about it. I'm out there to kick butt every day, and I'm out there to do things the right way. You know, I challenged them all. I just said, if you got a problem, I'm right here.
And it was right then that the statement for what the season was going to be like was made in that moment.
Gibby's either going to kill you or die for you. And so you better get on board.
And when the regular season started, the tone Gibson had set paid immediate dividends, with the team winning 13 of their first 19 games.
Gibson smashes it deep to center. McGee to the track, to the wall, gone.
And while Gibson led the way on the field with his play, in the clubhouse, he ultimately came around and allowed himself to have a little fun on the job, too.
He would mimic Tommy Lasorda. And Tommy was always saying how sweet it is, the fruits of victory. So Gibby would take that as his motto and rallying cry every time we would win.
We kind of added to it. What a team. Though I stood up against it early on, in the end I realized there was a time for their way as well. All of a sudden winning became fun for us.
But the fun soured a bit in May, when a series with the Mets threatened to undo all the great early vibes.
On May the 21st, Dwight Gooden of the New York Mets promptly had a fastball that hit Alfredo Griffin, the Dodgers shortstop.
Oh, brother, probably is serious. People booing here, there's no intention there.
Griffin's hand was broken, and the Dodger shortstop would be lost for 2 months. With the loss of Griffin creating a hole in the lineup, the Dodgers stuntmen were called into action.
We lost Alfredo, but Dave Anderson, one of the stuntmen, jumped in and did an amazing job.
Dave Anderson marching in Chowder Society and smiles all around.
No matter when Tommy wanted to have us, we were going to be ready, no excuses. We were going to go out there and do what we needed to do to help the team win.
By mid-July, the club that had been widely predicted to finish in 4th place had built up an 8-game lead in the NL West. The 1988 Dodgers, it was clear, weren't going away. Late August 1988, the Dodgers were still in first place, winning games in every which way imaginable, including an unlikely dash for home on a Saturday night in Chavez Ravine.
Kirk Gibson on second base, 9th inning, wild pitch.
Right on through, the catcher into the screen. Gibson comes to third, he's going to try to score. The play at the plate, he scores, and the ball game is over. Kirk Gibson on a wild pitch, scores from second base.
It was a miracle out of the blue.
On August 30th, the Dodgers were holding a 6.5-game lead when Orel Hershiser finished up a complete game win with 4 scoreless innings.
Franklin will do it himself, and Orel Hershiser has won his 18th.
In his next start, he threw a shutout.
They went fastball outside the strike zone, and Orel Hershiser pitched himself a tremendous ball game.
And it soon became an open question. Was Hershiser ever going to give up another run?
He had such an air of confidence about him. He just kind of went out there and did his thing. And you looked up in the 7th or 8th inning, and it's goose eggs across the board.
Sets and delivers, strike 3, and he's done it.
He's got it, and Hershiser has his 22nd win, his 4th consecutive shutout. He has a string of 40 consecutive scoreless innings.
He was on a run as dominant as any pitcher in history and living up to the nickname his manager had given him years ago as a rookie, the Bulldog.
I think Tommy got tired of watching me pick around the plate, you know, ball one, ball two, okay, here comes a sinker. Oh, I got a ground out. Well, why can't you throw that pitch, the very first pitch? Why are you falling behind?
I was very much angry at him, and I told him that's what I was going to call him, and he better act like a bulldog.
And so when he bellowed it out from the dugout, it made me have the confidence that he believed in me and I was supposed to attack.
That's hit to center field, and Shelby is there. He'll run it down, and the ball game is over. And he did it. Yes, sir. There's number 5.
Over the course of September, the streak ran to a stunning 49 innings, and on the night of the 26th, the Dodgers clinched an unlikely division title.
And the Los Angeles Dodgers, who no one thought would do it, have captured the Western Division flag in the National League.
So LA was heading to the playoffs, but there was still the matter of the streak. The all-time official record was 58 innings, held by Hall of Famer and former Dodger Don Drysdale, now a team broadcaster. And with Hershiser set for one more regular season start, the perfect scenario was in place.
We kind of thought, well, if he throws another 9-inning shutout, he and Don Drysdale will end up exactly tied. 2 Dodgers were going to own that record.
So I'm warming up for the game, and I'm standing on the right field foul line with Ron Paranowski, my pitching coach. I go, Ron, I'm really nervous. And he says back, me too.
Don Drysdale is watching the game up in the booth, and I'm with Drysdale during that game, and Orel's pitch is 0-0-0.
Orel making things look rather easy to this point. 54 innings for Orel Hershiser. We go to the 6th. No score.
And Don's okay with it. That was the amazing thing. Don looked at me and said, you know what? This is going to stay all in the family.
They pitch on the way to Carmelo. Ground ball third on the line. Up with it. Hamilton. Long toss. And there's a tied record. Hershiser gets 58 in a row. And he's got a chance for more. After 9 full innings of play. Padres nothing and the Dodgers nothing.
And I'm walking off the mound, and Tommy's like, you're going back out there. And I'm like, I'm not going back out there. He goes, you're going back out there, Bulldog. And I go, Tommy, that is so selfish. I mean, we're in the playoffs. I've gone 9. I've tied Don. 2 Dodgers at the top. Let's just leave it alone. I felt like it was the wrong thing to do.
And Lasorda's like, you're a Bulldog. Bulldogs go out there. Get your ass out there.
And so pretty much I say to myself, if you got to go back out, you might as well throw a 0. I have Don on my mind, and I got to the back of the mound, and I look up in the broadcast booth because I wanted to find him, and I wanted to salute him. And it's pretty emotional. So I look up there and can't find him. And so I salute the press box anyway. And I go after the next hitter.
2 out. Bottom of the 10th. Game winner down at third base in the person of Marvell Wynn. Hershiser winds again, the right hand of the 1-2 pitch, and there's a drive to right field. He's going to put it away. Gonzalez is under it, and Hershiser sets a new all-time consecutive scoreless innings pitch record at 59.
And come to find out, the reason I didn't find Don in the press box is he was down in the dugout waiting for me to congratulate me.
I just want to reiterate my congratulations to a great guy. They call him the Bulldog here, and I think all of you have been able to witness that and see why, and at least we kept it in the family. That's the big thing.
The Dodgers' regular season had felt like a fairy tale. But despite all the magic in the air, there weren't a lot of people who had faith that the script would stay so charmed.
People were celebrating. It was a nice ride. It was an unlikely ride. It'll be over soon.
It's a beautiful early evening in Los Angeles. Dodger Stadium filling up for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series as the New York Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Dodgers were decided underdogs against a very good Met team.
Who are the people that have made us the underdogs? Who are they? You?
Mets had Darryl Strawberry. Dwight Gooden, David Cohn. The Mets had won it in '86. I thought they had no chance against the New York Mets. Nobody did.
The Dodgers were a doormat to the New York Mets. In 11 games, the Mets won 10 of the 11.
But in Game 1, the Dodgers had their great equalizer on the mound.
Strikeout number 1 for Hershiser.
Any game that Hershiser pitched, they had a chance against any team.
And he strikes Hernandez out on a pitch on the corner. Few people have been in the type of groove Oral Hershiser is in right now.
Hershiser did what he had been doing the previous 2 months, shut out the opposition. And he took a 2-0 lead into the 9th. But when the leadoff man got on, he found his remarkable streak and the game in jeopardy.
Lined into right center for a base hit. That will score a run. And Strawberry with a double.
Hershiser was taken out, with his team still leading 2-1. But the Mets rally kept going.
Line to center field, and Shelby can't make the catch as Strawberry comes in to score, and McReynolds is being waved in, and McReynolds is saved. 3-2 Mets.
And they ended up winning the game. We were like, oh, here we go again.
Backman backs up and gives the Mets a 1-0 lead in the series.
What would you say to fans who would go around and say, well, this just proves that the Dodgers can't beat the Mets regardless of what they try?
I think the Mets are beatable. I think that it's just going to take a good team to do it.
They had all the chips on their side of the table going into Game 2. But we always felt we could play with them. And it didn't hurt when David Cohn made his comments.
David Cohn is writing a column for the New York Daily News.
It was a ghostwritten column. I had a couple of conversations with Bob Clappish. I never saw the article before it was printed. Bottom line is, I said some pretty stupid things.
He made some comments about high school curveball or something like that.
David referred to Hershiser as lucky to have shut out the Mets for 8 innings.
Everybody was on the top step hollering at him, you know. Every time he spun a breaking ball, slider, or curveball, you know, they're hollering high school breaking ball, and it affected him.
A base hit. 2-0 Dodgers.
My legs felt like concrete. Nerves physically inhibited me from performing.
Marshall grounds it into right field for a base hit. It's 5-0.
David Cohn played right into Lasorda's hands. The world's against us. Chip on our shoulder. Nobody thinks we can beat this team. Nobody thinks we're any good. Played right into his hands.
The series is tied.
The series shifted to New York from there. And a Game 3 rainout meant that Hershiser could return to the mound on 3 days rest. This time, he worked around 3 runs over 7 innings.
Hatcher digs it out, double play.
And the Dodgers took a 4-3 lead into the bottom of the 8th, with closer Jay Howell taking over. But then, things took a whole different kind of turn.
Now they're looking at the inside of the glove.
Jay Howell had stickum pine tar on his hand, probably a little too much. It was so obvious on his hand that Harry Wendelstedt had to throw him out.
And threw him out of the ballgame. Yeah, look at this. Can you believe this? Now the question becomes, what about the rest of the playoffs?
Howell's ejection completely changed the course of the game, and the Mets took advantage, scoring 5 runs in the 8th to win the game going away and take a 2-1 series lead. And the next day, the Dodgers would have to play Game 4 without Howell and against Dwight Gooden.
Got him swinging, and they get it on a curve. Half swing, got him. Beat LA as the champ at Shea Stadium in the 9th inning.
The Mets led 4-2 heading into the 9th. The Dodgers were 3 outs from facing a 3-1 series deficit.
I remember going into the 9th inning, and John Shelby gets down 0-2. He's hitting in front of me, and he draws a walk.
Ball 4, so Shelby walks. Mike Scioscia gets ready to stand in.
That could be a very, very big walk.
I just saw a huge hole over there on the right side, and I said, if I can get a ball that I can get the barrel out and pull it through this hole, you know, we got a chance to get first and third here.
Scioscia at the plate. Mets on top 4-2. And that's ripped to right field and deep. Strawberry goes back. She's gone. Mike Scioscia with 35 home runs in 8.5 years in the major leagues. It's the biggest of his career.
When that ball went out of the park, the crowd got so quiet that I could actually hear my spikes digging the dirt in the ground, which
was surreal to me. And I was the most surprised guy in the ballpark because that's not obviously what I was trying to do.
From there, Game 4 went into extra innings. And in the 12th, Kirk Gibson, in a 1-for-16 slump, came up with 2 outs.
Gibson hits a high drive, a towering drive to deep right center field, and that one is gone.
They now led 5-4, but had no closer to finish things off. And when the Mets threatened in the bottom of the frame, Lasorda defied all the rules and turned right back to his ace.
It's bases loaded, 2 out, and Kevin McReynolds.
Never in your wildest dreams would you ever imagine Oral Hershiser coming into pitch.
And I've pitched the day before, but I got so much adrenaline, and it is so much fun.
1 out to get. Broken bat blooper, shallow center field. In comes Shelby and makes the catch. And when you write the story of this game, where in the world do you begin?
We were on cloud 9. Now we're at 2 games apiece. I don't think I slept the whole night. I was so jacked up.
Game 4 finished after midnight, and Game 5 began the next afternoon, with the Dodgers looking to maintain the momentum.
Is hit to deep right field, and that one is gone. And Kirk Gibson breaks it open, 6-0.
We won that game. We went back 3 games to 2.
Shelby comes in and makes the catch.
In less than 24 hours, I mean, we were looking at down 3-1, up 3-2. It was awesome.
And the Dodgers are 1 victory away from the World Series.
So the series shifted back to LA, where the Mets managed to force Game 7. Awaiting them, though, was a pitcher who'd become all but unbeatable.
Fastball, got him looking.
You talk about a pitcher carrying a club, he did. He made 3 starts in the LCS against the Mets and came in relief once, threw a shutout in the clinching Game 7.
Oral finished off every big moment. Every hug, every celebration photo from the 1988 postseason, Oral's on the mound because he was the Bulldog, and the Bulldogs finished what they started.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are the 1988 National League champions.
Nobody thought they could do it. Nobody thought we could beat the Mets. I'm proud of our team because of the fact that they believed. They kept believing in themselves, and that's what's important.
But as the Dodgers celebrated, their star couldn't join his teammates on the field. Kirk Gibson had injured himself in Game 5 on a slide into second base, putting his status for the World Series in doubt. The script, though, was just getting to the most unbelievable part of all.
A lovely day in Southern California. Blue skies, bright sunshine, and the World Series.
We get to the World Series, and we're not supposed to beat the Bash brothers. Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco.
They were so much bigger, and they were so much more powerful. And so if you do the eyeball test, Dodgers really have no chance. They have no shot.
It would have been hard to find anyone who knew anything about baseball who thought the Dodgers had a chance against the powerful Oakland A's in the 1988 World Series, particularly with LA's leading man, by all appearances and indications, out of action with his knee and hamstring injuries.
When we come on the air before Game 1, I say, first item of business, Kirk Gibson will not be in the lineup tonight.
He won't even be introduced tonight. We assume that means he's not available for so much as pinch hitting duty.
One of the clubhouse guys came to us and said, "Hey, Gibby, your wife's here. She'd like to talk to you." She's like, "Hey, you know, are you going to play?" I'd just rather go home and watch it on TV, if that's okay. I said, "Yeah, go home. There's no way I'm playing."
Game 1 was in Los Angeles, and the Dodgers struck first on a homer by Mickey Hatcher, the leader of the stuntmen, starting in place of Kirk Gibson in left. But just 1 inning later, the A's loaded the bases for the biggest bat in their lineup, 24-year-old Jose Canseco.
And there's a drive to center. Back goes Shelby to the wall. It is gone. Grand slam home run. And it is 4-2 Oakland here in the second inning.
Canseco hits the grand slam. We not only thought the Dodgers were going to lose, we thought they were going to get swept.
You talk about a short series, you can get short in a hurry.
The Dodgers would get a run back in the middle innings, But they'd head into the bottom of the ninth, still trailing 4-3, leaving them just 3 outs from a Game 1 loss, with no savior in sight.
I said to the director while we were in commercial, do me a favor, when we come out, follow me. So we came out and there was the blimp shot, and I said, if you were here in the ballpark, the first thing you would be doing right now is taking your field glasses and looking in the Dodger dugout. Wham! And now the camera pans the length of the dugout.
And you're looking for Kirk Gibson. And there is no Gibson.
I was watching the game on TV. Vin Scully just kept panning the dugout.
The man who was the spearhead of the Dodger offense throughout the year will not see any action tonight for sure.
I just stood up, said, my ass, and told Mitch Poole, the bat boy, to go set the batting tee up there right outside the locker room.
We went down to this little area where we had a tee and a little net.
I took a couple whacks, and it was all arms. I mean, I really had no lower half.
I happened to be standing in the corner of the Dodger dugout because I was preparing to do a post-game interview. And I can hear thwack, thwack, And so I walked down to investigate. And I see that a bat boy is putting the ball on the tee and Gibson is taking practice swings.
We were going through this, probably 20 balls that he hit off the tee. He just stopped, and I looked up at him, and he goes, you know, Mitch, this could be the script.
And I said, go get Tommy.
I ran on down there, and I was screaming at Lasorda.
I could hear Tommy ragging Mitch. Damn it, Mitch, I'm managing a baseball game.
He goes, what do you want? And I said, Gibby's up there. He said he can hit for you, so you might want to go talk to him.
Tommy comes waddling up this runway right there. I said, hit Davis 8th, I'll hit 9th.
And he said, I can't run. And I said, well, if it's 2 outs, you don't have to run. You hit the ball out of the ballpark, you don't have to run fast.
So Lasorda and Gibson had their plan. He'd hit for the pitcher, though that spot in the lineup was due up 4th in the inning, meaning someone before him would have to reach base to even give him a chance. And that was far, far from a certainty, with the best relief pitcher in the game on the mound.
45 saves. That really jumps out at you.
Eckersley was the gold standard. He was virtually untouchable.
It'll be Walt Weiss. 1 down.
I met my wife during the making of When Harry Met Sally, and I was off that day from filming, and I invited her over, and the game was on. I said, come on, we watch the last part of the game.
Sidearm, mean, strike 3 call. That came from around the corner.
I was in the auxiliary press box. They get 2 outs. The game's over. So I go to the elevator because I'm going to go downstairs and do my interviews.
The 2 quick outs brought another pinch hitter, Mike Davis, to the plate, with the Dodgers down to their last chance, and Gibson down in the runway, desperate for just a shot.
Davis was up to bat. I couldn't take it. I went out and sat on the bench. Started thinking about the 3-2 backdoor slider. It's in the scouting report. It just said 3-2 count, left-hand hitter pressure situation. You gonna see a 3-2 backdoor slider if Eckersley gets in that situation.
So the Dodgers are down to their last out. 3 balls and 1 strike to Mike Davis.
I get on the elevator, and they're getting ready to close, and an older woman with a walker is walking up to the elevator. And so they said, oh, hold up, hold up.
And he walked him.
And as she's crossing the threshold of the elevator, I hear, now batting, Kirk Gibson. I'm like, holy sh**.
And look who's coming up.
He comes out on 1 leg. On 1 leg, he comes out.
And with 2 out, you talk about a roll of the dice. This is it.
I think everybody on our team thought Tommy was crazy. What are you doing?
We got our MVP up there on 1 leg, maybe no legs, and he's facing Dennis Eckersley, and we're going to lose the game.
So the Dodgers trying to catch lightning right now. Fouled away.
Remember 01, 02.
Fouled away again.
Now I'm just thinking, you can't strike out. I mean, you got to put the ball in play.
It was one of the rare times in my life I ever said a little prayer for a ball player. I thought to myself, Lord, he has played so hard and so tough all year. Please don't let him strike out.
Little nubber, foul.
And the at-bat is prolonged.
Ball one. 2-2.
This is already high theater, even if he strikes out.
There he goes, way outside. He's stolen it.
When Davis stole second base, you could see even our dugout guys stood up, thinking Gibby can get a base hit here. We can tie this game.
Now the Dodgers don't need the muscle of Gibson as much as a base hit. 3-2.
We get to the 3-2 count. As soon as Eckersley goes set, I say timeout. I look right at Eckersley and I say, partner, sure as you're standing here breathing, you're going to see that 3-2 backdoor slider.
But the game right now is at the plate. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
When he hit that home run, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Even when you're running out there, you're like, did this just happen? Did this really happen?
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
He hits this home run, and it's like somewhat of an aphrodisiac for me. We were going to meet Bruno Kirby and Billy Crystal to go see a documentary, and let's put it this way. We didn't make it to the movie theater. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what else.
I honestly believe that that is one of the handful of most theatrical moments in baseball history.
Kirk Gibson, have you ever had a feeling like this? Well, it's hard to match, I'll say that, and you know, it's I guess a storybook.
It kind of capsulizes the underdog, Bad News Bears, Cinderella story of the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1988.
I'm humbled to have hit that home run. I didn't realize the place it would have in baseball history. Sometimes when I get down, I think about that moment. It lifts you up. You couldn't have wrote it any better in Hollywood.
Kirk Gibson's incredible home run had given the series a magical start for the Dodgers. In Game 2, without Gibson, the magnificent Orel Hershiser kept the fairy tale going. With a 3-hit complete game shutout that gave the Dodgers a 2-0 series lead.
Got him. It's the year of the Hershiser. It's the year of the Bulldog.
It certainly is.
My victory tonight doesn't mean anything unless we win 2 more games.
And when the series shifted to Oakland, the Dodgers lost not just Game 3, but another piece of their already decimated lineup.
Game 4 will be played on a beautiful, breezy night at the Oakland Coliseum. Now, since last night, the Dodger lead in the series has diminished, but their injury list has grown.
Here it is before Game 4 in Oakland, and I look at the Dodger lineup, and not only is Gibson out, but now Mike Marshall is out. It almost looks like it's a B game in spring training.
Without Gibson and Marshall, in fairness, pitching aside, and Dodger pitching is excellent, this Dodger lineup has to be one of the weakest ever to take the field for a World Series game.
Costas made a comment on the TV and Tommy's ears and everything went.
He said, look at that. Even Costas doesn't give us a chance.
I made sure they all heard it, and I made sure they all understood it, and it got to do what I wanted them to do, get mad.
He's got it. The Dodgers hang on and beat the A's 4-3.
You're up 3-1 with a patchwork lineup. Are you surprised by what has taken place?
Well, first of all, you should give the MVP to Bob Costas.
I understand there was a roar in the dressing room during the pregame show.
I don't know what they were saying, something like, kill Costas, kill Costas. You know, that's what they were saying.
Kill Costas, kill Costas. Tommy milked it for all it was worth, and he was winking at me the whole time.
Tom, I'd like to bring in Bob Costas, who was the focal point of your victory.
Happy to help out, Tom. Just
Anytime.
happy to help out.
I'll call you when we need you again.
All right.
Hershiser took the mound again in Game 5 with a chance to close it out. And in yet another perfect twist, it was the leader of the stuntmen who grabbed the spotlight in the final scenes of '88.
Mickey Hatcher, a 2-run home run. Hatcher, who hit 1 home run during the entire season, hits his 2nd home run in the World Series.
And the final pages of the script put Orel Hershiser on the mound, stuntmen all around the infield, and the story getting its Hollywood ending.
Got him. They've done it. Like the 1969 Mets, it's the impossible dream revisited.
The final photograph of the 1988 Dodgers is Orel Hershiser jumping into the arms of a backup catcher. That was perfect.
Nobody thought we could win a division. Nobody thought we could beat the mighty Mets. Nobody thought we could beat the team who won 104 games. But we believe this.
Today, I'm going to get to catch the first pitch, and it's from Kirk Gibson. And they're having a whole celebration for Kirk, and I think it's absolutely wonderful to have him back in Dodger Stadium.
This is cool. That, I heard, wasn't a very good ball club on paper. It was a hell of a team.
It's starting to feel like it's been 30 years, yeah. When you see, you know, Gibby, when you see Tommy, when you look at myself in the mirror, you start to see some age.
Gibby.
What's up, Bulldog? How you doing, man? A year and a half. It was a good year, it was a great year.
The best movies in Hollywood usually age pretty well. But in real life, the fantasy inevitably gives way to something far less scripted. The manager is now 90 years old, not quite as irrepressible as he once was. And the hero with the bat? A few years ago, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. But if the real world doesn't always give you the Hollywood ending, maybe that's just time's way of reminding you how perfect the best moments of your life really were.
Well, I'm 61 years old. I've inherited some new challenges in my life. It always looks good when you do it like this. Last time it looked good and I bounced it. It's safe to say I'm in my last trimester of physically being around. Big fella!
How you been?
Good, how you doing?
Everything good.
Thanks for
Everything
having
in
me.
Michigan okay?
It's cold, that's why I'm here. I think I kind of approach it, want to hit my bucket list, my favorite things in life. Certainly that's one of them. Doesn't look at all like it used to, does it? Never practiced it before. Gotta have that. A little finish at the end. By the way, let's be honest, it was lucky. Parkinson's disease. Or not, I still get fired up.
To go out onto the field and to be out there in a sellout stadium, to be standing next to Tommy, and where he is in life right now, and be waiting for Gibby and where he is in life now, to relive the moment again. It's really hard.
And look who's coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dodger Stadium, Kirk Gibson.
sure when I walk on that field, it's going to bring back vivid memories of that day.
And then Kirk throws out the first pitch.
All right, we need you to pitch.
And I shook his hand.
Love you. You changed our lives. You changed all of our lives.
I said, you changed all of our lives. You changed our lives.
All the struggles that anybody's had in their life, all the things they've had to fight through, you can have a moment like that and win a world championship, it makes it all worth it.